everyone, my name is Cynthia, and as you already know, I recently moved to Canada through the Express Entry program via the French category-based draw. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for being with me through this short journey of mine. I've received a few requests to give a breakdown of what it cost me to embark on this journey from the very beginning till my arrival in Canada. So if you see me looking down, from time to time, just know that I have it saved on my laptop. I have the cost and everything, the details saved on my laptop. So I'll probably be looking at my laptop in between. So it was quite a journey full of research, resilience, patience, and I'll be breaking everything down today. What it cost me to prepare for the process, from my WES evaluation to IELTS to the French classes to the French exams and all the steps in between. In my previous video, in one of my videos, right, I mentioned that I used past questions in my French learning journey, and I have a few clarifications to make because I noticed that there were some reactions to the comments I made, especially regarding the past questions and the Telegram groups that I belonged to while practicing for the French exams. So when I talked about using past questions, right, I didn't mean anything illegal or inappropriate. I simply referred to legitimate study materials that help learners understand the exam format, the question types, and how to better prepare for the exam. Just like students, when you're preparing for maybe WAEC, in Nigeria we have WAEC, GCE, even IELTS, right? DELF. There are past questions. These resources are always there to help you understand even school exams. These are it's not like it was just because of the past questions or I had something that helped, that gave me an edge. Of course, using the past questions help you prepare. It kind of gives you like an idea of the strategy, the format, the question format. So past questions are actually great tools, if you ask me, for practice, because they help identify weak areas, improve the time management for you, and even boost your confidence before the real exam. So for anyone who might have misunderstood or might have taken it out of context, I hope this clears things up. The goal is learn smartly, stay consistent, make progress one step at a time. The past questions are just a boost or a bonus, so to speak. So that being said, let's dive into today's topic, continuing the whole journey, the costs and everything. So if you're thinking of starting your own immigration journey to Canada, especially through the French pathway, this video will help you plan realistically. I'll try as much as possible to give a comprehensive breakdown of the cost and everything. So I'll start with my immigration timeline. Like I said in my previous video, I started the process sometime in and I took a long pause. Then I resumed in 2022. That was like 4 years after. I started my Canada dream officially, like restarted in 22 towards the end of the year when I applied for my credential evaluation. For the evaluation, there are designated organizations that evaluate your credential, and you're expected to assess your highest degree. For instance, if you have a BSc, you can evaluate your BSc. That's like the category on the IRCC portal. They are in different categories. You have 1 degree, you have 2 or more degree, something like that. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to remember right now. Then the next is the masters, then the PhD. So when you have a BSc, that's your highest, you evaluate that. If you have, there's some selected diplomas that you can actually do in addition to your BSc, that kind of gives you additional points, but not up to that what a master's can give you. So there are some courses, like a few diplomas that you could do. I know of the BCS, it's like a computer certificate course, and some other diplomas that you could do in some schools, in some selected schools in Nigeria, that when you do that, maybe like 6 months, 1 year course, you add it to your BSc, evaluate both of them, and it gives you more points than what a BSc will give you, or a bachelor's degree. Let me stop calling BSc, like what a bachelor's degree will give you, right? Then you have the masters and then the PhD. So there are organizations that IRCC accredits to help with evaluating these credentials, so that they can actually tell you what is the equivalent in the Canadian system. We have the World Education Service, which is very popular. It's commonly used. The WES, it's popular and it's fast for general applications. We have there's the CES, There's the ICAS, International Credential Assessment Service of Canada. The CAS is Comparative Education Service. There is the ICAS too, IQAS, International Qualifications Assessment Service. This is for, I think this is for the government of Alberta. There is the International Credential Evaluation Service. This is for the British Columbia. For medical professionals, they have the Medical Council of Canada. For the pharmacists, you have the Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada, PEBC. Now, for every organization's processing time, I mean, it differs. You have to do your research, but a lot of people use WES for the general courses. Like for most courses, apart from the pharmacy and medical lines, they use WES because they are quite fast, and they have a predictable processing line. So when you verify the first step to verify your credentials, and back then when I did mine, it cost about 220 Canadian dollars, but in 25 the updated price is around 250 Canadian dollars, which is roughly, I say, 275,000 to 300,000 depending on the exchange rate. So you'll also spend a bit on transcript requests and courier delivery, which could add another 50,000 to 100,000 naira. So in total, budget around 400, between 400 to 500 for the full WES evaluation process. That's the evaluation, your transcript request, and all of that. Now, when you've done that, you now go to the language test, right? For the IRCC, for the express entry, to get into the express entry pool, you need your credentials and you also need a language test. Your language test and the credentials, these are the two key documents you need to be able to create an express entry profile. So even though the French category focuses on French, right, I still needed my IELTS result for my express entry profile. So the IELTS test, I took it in 23, but in 25 right now, it costs about between 180,000 naira to 210,000 naira, which is about 200 Canadian dollars as we speak. So if you decide to take a prep class, that might cost between 30 to 70,000 naira, depending on where you register or the tutor you use. I practice mostly online using free materials. Then I also registered for, I used a few schools. In 2022, I used a school tutorial in Lagos. Then in the second year, I used another program, tutor, Triumph Suave. So I'm trying to pronounce his name, but I'll see if I can get it and put it somewhere on the screen. So those are the two people I used, and I practiced majorly online, because when I registered for the second one, it was just like a few weeks to when I wrote to my exam date, so I didn't really have much of a time to prepare or practice. So I did a lot of online practice using free materials like IELTS and some YouTube channels. So you don't always have to spend much on preparations. We have a lot of free resources online. So after I took the IELTS test, I then started the French program proper. Between the year 2023 and 2024, when I learned about the French category draws, I decided to improve my French seriously. I joined a local French school, but I couldn't, like I said in my previous video, I couldn't wait for them, so I had to hire a tutor. And frankly speaking, I can't give a particular range for the tutors. There are a lot of them online. There are a lot of them. You know, if you need a recommendation, you can send me a DM later or send me a mail, and I can refer you to a few tutors that I've tested and trusted, and the ones that are recommended in the Telegram groups where I belong. So I took classes for about 6 months at a time, and let's just say I have an estimate of about, for 6 months, if you have to take classes for 6 months, I can say just budget between 75,000 to 100,000. It could be less. It could be some tutors could actually take 50,000 naira per month, but this is not me. I'm not so sure. I can't exactly give a figure, but it depends on the tutor. It depends on what the tutor offers. And I would like to also say that if you use a tutor for the first month, you're not compelled or under any compulsion to stick to that particular tutor till the end. If you see that you're not getting value for what you want or what you need, just move to the next tutor. You mustn't really stick to that particular tutor. So I used free resources like TV5 Monde. Duolingo was like an app to me. I also used the Bozu app. I had the French dictionaries. I listened to RFI, Radio France Internationale. It's like a French radio. I listened to it a lot. I also listened to President Emmanuel Macron on YouTube. His French is very relatable, it's very simple, and you can easily understand it. And this helped me a lot. I also joined Telegram groups, like I said in my previous videos, and these groups were helpful with conversations, speaking. You know, we join the group, and or the particular time where you get to practice, you choose topics from the past questions, like I said, or from the resources that we had, and we elaborate, we talk about the topic, we just break down the topic, talk, converse. The essence of the group was just to help us build our confidence in speaking, because the problem of a non-native speaker is basically expressing him or herself in the language. You could actually be able to listen, you can read, you can even write to an extent, but speaking, when you want to speak, you can just go dumb, because you can speak it in your head, but when you want to say it just gets. So it's important that you join conversation groups, WhatsApp groups, if possible. Look for friends that are probably in the same level with you, and you all come together and practice, choose topics, take turns, speak to the mirror, record yourself and listen. Record yourself and listen. When you listen, record yourself, take video recordings of yourself, take audio recordings, listen and correct yourself. That's you might think it's not important or it's not powerful, but when you do it over time, you realize that it's really very powerful, and you're making progress. So just consistency is key. Keep at it and you'll see the result. Now, if you're just starting out, don't feel pressured to be fluent. The goal is to reach a level where you can comfortably take the exams, and you're expected to get to a B2 level, which is an upper intermediate level, which is perfect. It's very okay. There are a lot of French speakers today, even English speakers, who are on B2 levels, if you ask me. So when you can comfortably speak at the upper intermediate level, in fact, some tutors tell you when you get to B1, you can actually, from there, what you just need are probably a few grammatical tips to boost you to B2 level, and you're good to go. So just don't feel pressured. Set a goal, set a target, and try to be consistent. Now, for the exam proper, there are two accepted exams for the French. There are two French exams. You can either take the TEF or the TCF. The TEF is Test d'Évaluation du Français, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not so sure right now. While the TCF, which I took, is called the Test de Connaissance du Français, or TCF Canada, as the case may be. It's the official French language test. It's one of the two official French language tests. In 2025, in Nigeria, it costs about 750,000 naira. I don't know that's in Canadian dollars right now, but that's about the amount, if I'm not mistaken. It's between 700,000 and 750,000 naira. And some centers may charge just a little extra for registrations. So just always check ahead. If you include transport or logistics, just plan a total of 800,000 naira. Even if your French isn't perfect, go for it. Consistency and daily practice can make a big difference. So when you've written the exams, now it's time to create your profile, right? You could actually create your profile while waiting for the French results. Once you have your IELTS and the WES, you can create a profile. I had my profile already, like I said in my previous video. I just had to get the French to boost my score up. So once I had both the French and English results, I was good to go. So the application itself is free. Creating the profile is free. But once you get your invitation to apply, which is called the ITA, there are certain fees you will pay. The permanent resident processing fee. I'm giving these fees for a single person, but if you have children and you have a spouse, there may be additional fees, as the case may be. So permanent resident processing fee is about 850 Canadian dollars, and there's also what they call the right of permanent residence fee. which is 515 Canadian dollars. Together, that's roughly about 1,365 Canadian dollars, which is about 1.5 million naira at the current exchange rate, right? There are other costs that include the biometrics fee, around that's about 85 Canadian dollars. And if you're a family, it's just for you and your spouse. The medical exams, I had to do my medical exams at Q Life. There are two accredited hospitals in Nigeria, the Q Life and IOM. The IOM charges in the fees usually come in dollars, so it works with the current exchange rates, and I can't exactly give that now. But for the Q, okay, well, I think for the IOM, it was about $95 for the adults, but I didn't really use IOM, so I used Q Life, and Q Life for Q Life it was 95,000 naira for the adults at the time, and for the children it was 47,500, which is like half of what the adults did. So I paid for the two children and 95,000 times two, which is about 190 for the adults. So that's that there goes your figure, right? For the police clearance, I did that online, and also paid a certain amount to the police on the online. We just budget between 10,000 naira to 15,000 naira online. If you renew your passport, even though I was supposed to have said for passports, obtaining a passport is like the very first thing you should do, because you're traveling out, you need an international passport, right? So if you're renewing your passport, or you're just getting a fresh passport, you should budget. The passport fee is not really fixed, but I'm saying maybe between 35,000 naira to 75,000 naira. I really can't, because the prices just keep fluctuating. But in total, expect to spend around between 1.8 to 3 million naira at this stage. The truth is, this you don't necessarily have to have this money in bulk, right? If you're working and you're saving, you have investments, you have savings, you're receiving salary every month, you have income coming in every month, you could actually work towards this, because every step does not come at the same time. It just comes stage by stage. So once this comes, you gather the funds, you pay. Once this comes, you just gather the funds and you make the payment. So for the proof of funds in 2025, the minimum required proof of fund for a single applicant is about 14,700 Canadian dollars, or roughly 16 to 17 million naira. So that amount varies depending on your family size. So always check the latest figures on the IRCC portal or website before you apply. Start saving early, start investing early, even before writing your language exams. Just start gathering the funds. But my best advice would be to save as much as you can. Save in foreign currency if possible, because these things, our naira is kind of, you know what I mean, it fluctuates, so it's not advisable. It's not. I don't advise anyone to save in a naira, especially since the process might take a while. So save as much as you can. If you cannot save in a foreign currency, it's not compulsory. You could actually invest your funds and yield as much return, so that it can give you most returns, and your money does not lie fallow. So save, invest, do the necessaries to get enough funds to start the process. Now, for travel and settlement costs in 2025, I booked my flight with Qatar Airways. For one person is about 1.5 to 2 million naira. You can actually book. It depends on the airline, depends on the season. I booked early. I booked my flight in April, and we flew in September, and so we got very, very good deals. For family of four, we paid about 5.5 million naira, which is very good if you ask me, because a lot of people paid like 7-8 million when it was even getting close to the date. So we booked early, we paid early, and we were able to choose our seats and everything. So I booked my first month accommodation. Before we got here, I was lucky or fortunate to have gotten my apartment, or our apartment, before we arrived, which is actually very okay. Or I don't know, for somebody who is coming in to a new country for the first time. You're coming to the country for the first time, I'll advise you explore this route. Although it might be a bit difficult for a newcomer to get an accommodation from Nigeria or any other country, as the case may be, but it's actually possible to get, and I did that. I'll try and see if I can make a short video about that later on. So you get your accommodation, and we our accommodation costs maybe if it was we currently stay in a basement apartment, and a basement cost, for a basement of 2 bedroom and 1 bath, costs between 1.3 and 1.5 Canadian dollars. Now we are currently paying this including utilities and everything. You could actually get some for 1.6 with utilities, 1.7 with utilities, and utilities include the water, hydro, and garbage disposal. And some landlords give you internet. We have a very wonderful landlord, and we got everything all in this amount. This is like a steal actually, because you find that in winter the usage of utilities kind of go up, especially for the heating and all that. And for a basement that is always very cold, you kind of use up more energy. So flight ticket, I've talked about flight ticket, I've talked about accommodation. For your accommodation, you have to deposit the same. Some people collect half of your monthly rent, but we have to deposit like a full month rent. So we paid a month, and the deposit as well before landing. We actually landed from the airport into our own apartment. So we paid 3,000 Canadian dollars, which is roughly maybe 3 point something million, or that's that's in the range, depending on the exchange rate at the time. Some other essentials like airport taxi, which we got somebody who picked us up. We had a my husband's cousin, who picked us up from the airport. So, but if you know you're going to use an Uber airport taxi, you get SIM cards, groceries in the first few weeks of arrival. Just budget like 200 to 300,000 naira. So altogether, for the travel and initial settlements for one person, plan about 2.5 to 3 million naira. And well, since I paid 1.5, I'm using that because we're a family. But if you are a single person, you probably want to share apartments or share rooms with somebody, or you want to pay for a room, it could be less. So let's just say budget 3 million to 3.5 for this stage. Now, the total costs I've given, let me just give you a quick recap. The summary of the total cost: you have the WES evaluation, which is about I said 400 to 500,000 naira, right? IELTS 200,000 naira. I'm just giving the maximum. I'm giving the maximum right now. French course. Let's just say using 50,000 as a base for each month for the tutors. Let's say for a full year, that's or maybe just for a full year, 50,000 for 12 months or 11 months. Let's say 550,000. So let's just budget around 600,000, 700,000. It's actually expensive now to do French, but it's worth it in the end, especially knowing that once you do it, you're going to pass and you're getting results and using the right tutor. Take CF exam 750,000, or let's just say 800,000, because of the logistics and every other thing that comes, registration, every other associated costs. For the PR, biometrics, the medicals, 1.8 million naira, flight and settlement, 3 million naira. That's a total of about let's just say 7. I'll probably do that and put figure, let's 7 to 8 million, excluding the proof of funds. Now, if you include proof of funds, it brings you to like 21 to 23 million naira total. Now, that's it. That's like the total cost. Like I said earlier, it's not something that you just wait and save all the money before you start. You start as the process continues, or every milestone, every stage that comes up, you pay. Now, talking about the proof of funds, a lot of persons will say, "Oh, my proof of funds, I don't have money." See, that when you're about leaving, you would be surprised, because a lot of people might not just believe that okay, this is going to work out. But once you've gotten your visa, you've gotten everything, just prepare. I mean, just talk to families. Families are there to help. As long as you have people around, you have a few properties to sell, investments to make, just gather as much funds as you can. If you're single, it's easy. Just talk to a few persons, your brother, you could have an uncle. Just talk to your parents, your siblings, your family members. They can help. Just my advice would be, don't say because you don't have funds. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. anything can actually happen. A miracle can happen and you get the funds. There was something I didn't talk about, like when we went for our medical biometrics and PR and our medicals. We had to travel to Lagos, and of course we spent flights. We had to book flights. So some people, because of the children, I had to book flights. We couldn't travel via road, so we used flights. That's another cost. Accommodation over the hotel cost. That's another cost. Feeding. Those are things that might not even be in the main costs. So um, three lessons I would like give you before I leave. Start early. Start early. If you think it's late, it's never late. Like I started in 2018 and stopped. And I started in 20, I resumed in 2022 and I am here today. Um, although I would also say it's by the grace of God, because it's clear that I think God just told me, if you like, don't start. If you like, anytime want to start it and I'm waiting for you, you will still get it, because it has always been my intention to leave the country, right? It has always been my intention to come here, further my studies, just like leave the shores of Nigeria. I had gotten a lot of admissions back then. Recently I was just going through my emails. I was seeing all my admissions, my UK admissions, Lancaster University, Glasgow University, University of Leeds. I saw a lot of admissions and I was just smiling. Like, imagine 2012, 2013, far back when I wanted to leave the country. But so start early. Even if you don't have all the money, like I said before, begin with what you can afford, like the West, the language. Just start something. Start something as long as you're working. Because of course, Express Entry is they have the Federal Skilled Worker Program, so you most likely want to go through the Federal Skilled Worker, and that's where I'm focusing on, not the provincial nomination. As there are other programs, but this is just for the Federal Skilled Worker. I should have said it earlier though. So you will probably be working. You should be working, because your work experience will also be used to evaluate, give you points. We also determine the points you will get. So start early, even if you don't have all the money. Like I said, begin with the West. West is like the easiest thing to start. In fact, the first thing you should start with before your IELTS. Be consistent. Be consistent, especially if you with French. Be consistent. A few minutes of daily study goes a long way. There were days I'll be tired. There were days I'll be tired after work. I'll just plug in my ears, just plug this, and I'll sleep off. Sometimes I sleep off. I'll join a Telegram conversation class. I'll not speak. I'll just be listening to people conversing. That's like a form of immersing. Immersing yourself in the language. It just gives you that environment, that French environment. So be consistent. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. Don't compare your progress to others. Everyone's journey is unique. That's the third point. Don't compare yourself to others. I know people who wrote this exam 7 months, 6 months, 9 months, 8 months, and they passed one sitting. The only realistic goal that I had to follow was 1 year. I just told myself 1 year is okay. I wasn't ready to go more than 1 year, to go beyond 1 year. But I just said 1 year is like, at 1 year, I should know what I am doing, right? Especially because funds, I'm spending money. So I need to know what I'm spending my money on. So final thought, if you are watching this and you're dreaming of coming to Canada, you can do it too. It may take time, but every step counts. It's just think when you feel like, oh, I'm tired, like I can't do this anymore. Think of your burning why. Think of the goal. Just look at the end. Don't just imagine yourself 9, 8, 10 to 10, 11 months from now, where you would have gotten to if you just like grind it, put in the work. Don't even be discouraged. Just I know it's very difficult. It's a very tough journey, I must say, but with consistency, with resilience, you can do it. So thank you so much. If you've watched up to this very moment, I really do appreciate. Thank you for sticking with me through up till this moment. If you have not clicked on the like button, please like, engage, share, put your comments down. Any questions you have for me, any topic you want me to maybe talk about, just let me know in the comment section. Subscribe to this channel, please. Subscribe to this channel to help me grow, and let me know where you are in your process, and I'll share more tips in future videos. Till next time, when I come your way, stay consistent, keep believing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.